Sales is a grind. The sooner you embrace that idea that in order to be good at selling, you need to dive into the process of grinding, the easier your life is going to be, the easier it's going to be for you to sell, the more you're going to enjoy it, and the better results you're going to produce. So yesterday, I had a privilege, a chance to talk to a startup CEO. We were talking about doing a business development project, and I wanted to help him as a consultant or a coach to improve his sales. So we started talking about what he was doing. So he's a startup CEO doing sales himself, and he was frustrated with his sales. But we looked into his lead generation. He was doing it really well. He was executing the right steps and he was getting good results. Then we looked into his sales call. He was doing really great discovery. He was asking for commitment. He was engaging the right stakeholders. He was doing that part right as well. Then we looked into his follow-ups. He was doing that stuff right as well. And he was implementing some really good ideas that I wanted to suggest, but he was already doing that. So I asked him, like, what is the problem? How do you see the problem? And he's like, well, it's just frustrating. And the only advice I could give him, the only right thing I saw in that situation was accept the frustration. That's what sales is. Sales is a repetitive process of reaching out to people, booking meetings, then running discovery calls, doing follow-ups, engaging stakeholders, then closing a sale or disqualifying that customer and putting them on a back burner. And it's a repetitive process of doing that thing over and over and over and over again. And yes, it is frustrating, but there is something that we can do about it to get rid of that frustration and to make it enjoyable. I'll tell you a little story. My very first sales job was in door-to-door sales, and I actually ended up doing it for 3 years. I did a bunch of door-to-door sales jobs, and I stuck to that way of living and way of making my livelihood by door-to-door sales. But just before that, I was a life scientist working in the lab. So imagine that transition from working in a lab, just doing molecular biology, test tubes and stuff, to like suddenly being on the doors and knocking doors. I absolutely hated it. I hated the idea of waking up in the morning. I hated when I was getting to the job, when I was getting my assignment. I hated driving to the town, driving to that street. I hated knocking the first door. But once I knocked the second door, I forgot about it. I was like, another door, another conversation, another door, another conversation, another door, someone's interested, another door, another sale, another door, another conversation. I got into the zone, I got into the flow of knocking doors. The day would fly. And then day would end, I go home, next morning I wake up and I dread it again. I would hate it again. So what happens in door-to-door sales, the hardest sales job out there that exists, you can actually get into the zone of door knocking. You can get into the zone and start doing selling and forget that it's hard. But the only way to do it is just to embrace the idea that here you go, I'm selling. So if you're a salesperson, right, you have to, every day, you have to reach out to people, you have to book meetings, and then some people don't want to meet with you, right? There are lots of rejections. Then you have your sales targets. If you then you're following up with people, they don't want to buy from you and they disappear, then you close some sale, you don't close some sale. Same thing if you're a business owner, a CEO, entrepreneur, your business, your livelihood depends on this. It is a grind. But at the same time, if you resist that grind, it's going to come across as a grind. But if you embrace it, boom, you get into the flow, you start selling, and guess what? You can start enjoying yourself. Selling is actually fun. Selling is a great activity. So embrace the grind.